Welcome to Natural Born Talents. Today's subject is finding your soulmate. Now, there's a lot of information about soulmates and all kinds of theories, which goes back many centuries, as most people would guess. But today's focus is going to be about how to match up your aura with someone compatible with you, and how to find a real soulmate. Now, let's start off with compatible auras. Now, I'm sure many people out there love the mystery of dating, trying to figure out who is compatible for you and not, without using auras. However, sometimes relationships can get very complicated, and when you start thinking about getting married or finding a life partner, it is probably best to look up that individual's aura as well as their ego, in order to make the relationship run smoothly as possible. So let's get started with a scenario. This is Tanya, an attractive, idealistic, loving, sociable individual. She has an unusual combination of the blue-tan aura and an overlay of blue, which means she tends to lean on the emotional side of things. She loves to help people, she loves family, she likes gossip a little bit too much from time to time, but is actually a good counselor as well. The one main problem is she's a little bit naive about other people. Because she's so good-hearted, she's unaware that there are other people in the world who are not as kind and loving as she is. Because she is so helpful to her friends, some people make the mistake and think that she's easy to use, when in reality she just needs to spend more time developing her own emotional and spiritual skills. Tanya meets Tiny. Tiny has the red aura. He's very good at sports. He's very direct, very sexual, and very physical. Tiny is one of the most honest people you could possibly meet. He's a no-nonsense person. His one weak point is that he's a little bit of a playboy. But because he's honest about himself and his sexuality, he doesn't lie about it. He's pretty straightforward about it. However, Tanya thinks she can change him. The two of them date for a while, and their lovemaking is quite good and satisfying for both. However, as time goes on, Tiny gets the urge to date other women. The red aura is a very passionate aura. Tanya does not understand that drive in Tiny. She thinks it's just his male ego, and perhaps to a certain degree that is correct. But what she does not understand is that the red aura does not see the moralistic issue with sex. Reds, whether male or female, do not see the act of procreation as something dirty. To them, it is a sense of play, it is a sense of release, it is a sense of touching their higher selves through the sex act. Though some reds can be promiscuous, it doesn't mean they are always so. In Tiny's case, because he's honest and open about his feelings towards sex, he tells Tanya that if they cannot have an open relationship, he'd like to move on. Now, Tanya at first is hurt by this, because she's an emotional person and idealistic. When she makes love to Tiny, she feels a deep emotional attachment to him, something Tiny understands but does not allow it to control his life. So they argue, and eventually they both agree to break up. Now, in this scenario, neither one is right or wrong. The problem is that a red is a very physical aura. Both the blue-tan and the blue aura are emotional auras. And although they appreciate the honesty of the red, both of those auras tend to like the loyalty and commitment within a relationship, particularly the blue side of Tanya. The blue aura often has what is known as the Cinderella complex, and reds, although they can act like Prince Charming, can't live that life for long. It doesn't mean that reds can't get married and have a good life. Certainly they can. But emotional auras are usually not their forte. Tanya moves on. After much crying and disappointment, she starts dating another man, Blake. Blake is a very calm, quiet, reserved individual. He works in the military. He's very well organized, and very neat and tidy. Blake is attracted to Tanya's honesty, self-reliance, and sense of duty. However, as the relationship goes on, Tanya keeps probing Blake's mind. She's constantly asking him what he's thinking. Blake finds this invasive. Blake is a very private person. Tanya likes to hug, hold hands. Blake finds that kind of emotional expression cheap. Tanya soon finds out that Blake is a little bit of an egotist. Tanya discovers that though he acts calm and cool, he really likes to think that his way of thinking is the right way of thinking, and only he thinks that way. Tanya finds out that Blake is really very stubborn, very unyielding, and very control-oriented. Though calm and cool on the surface, when his environment is not under control the way he likes it, he gets agitated quickly. If every day is not the same or out of order, he starts to lose it. Tanya quickly feels that she cannot live under such conditions. Living under his ego is just too much, so she moves on. Next came Lee. Lee was a lavender with a overlay of a blue tan aura. He was an artist, a photographer, and was very much into yoga. Tanya saw his gentle, laissez-faire, sensitive side as something very appealing. They dated for a while, and Tanya was very fond of Lee's gentle ways. They seldom fought over anything. In fact, Lee didn't like arguing or fighting at all. However, Lee was very much absorbed with his pursuit in art. Lee didn't like going to parties. He preferred staying home and doing paintings. Lee very much loved the support that Tanya gave him. He felt kind of guilty he couldn't return the favor. For a long time, Tanya thought she could marry Lee, and Lee thought Tanya was one of the best wives he could possibly have. However, Lee could not give all of himself to Tanya. He loved the way Tanya created a kind of homey feeling within the relationship, a sense of family. However, for Lee to pursue his artwork, to fully pursue it, he could not be so deeply involved in a relationship. There was a part of him that was very reluctant to give his all to the relationship. Not out of anything against Tanya, but simply he liked to reserve his own personal space for his artwork. Tanya and Lee eventually broke up, but they remained very good and very loyal friends. They exchanged visits from time to time, giving each other what support they could. As chance might have it, Tanya ran into an old friend, Bobby Jimmy. In high school, they were good friends, but Tanya always felt that Bobby Jimmy was just too immature to get serious with. He was always partying, always looking for good times. However, at a high school reunion, she met him again, for the first time in 10 years. Bobby Jimmy had grown up. He became much more self-reliant. Bobby had a yellow aura with a tan overlay. During high school, he was always messing around, always having a good time, cracking jokes, laughing, playing. But it was a little bit too much for pretty much everyone. Bobby didn't go to college, but he studied plumbing as well as some electronics. He started to get serious about his work. The mental side of him began to take hold, and he decided to get a little bit more serious about life. He got a good job, and for the first time in his life was considering settling down. When Tanya met Bobby Jimmy at the reunion, they immediately hit it off. The yellow side of Bobby could always make Tanya smile. He started cracking more appropriate jokes. They laughed together. They danced. Tanya was impressed on how much Bobby Jimmy had grown up. When the two of them were together, the whole room lit up. She kind of sensed they had always been soulmates, but in their younger years, Bobby really was just too immature to consider marrying. But now, physically fit, funny, intelligent, practical, caring, and helpful. Everything a blue tan and a blue aura needs. It was a perfect match. Tanya went on to teach in the education system, and Bobby Jimmy went on with his plumbing career with occasional performances at the local club doing comedy. As you can see, auras are very complicated. Soulmates are very rare. Soulmates sometimes never meet one another for the very reason you saw in Bobby Jimmy and Tanya's case. Had Bobby Jimmy, for example, not had grown up, Tanya may never have met her true love, her soulmate, or if she did, wouldn't recognize him for who he really was. Practically everyone does have a soulmate, and when you enter the room, you'll know it, you'll feel it, you won't even have to think about it, you'll just know. But it doesn't always happen for everyone because one or two of the people involved get stuck somewhere in the matrix. I often see from the other side that people come down in groups, but one or two of the people who are meant to meet in this life get stuck somewhere, and therefore meeting becomes canceled because it won't serve its purpose it was meant to serve. So self-awareness is very important. Having said that, if you are looking for a deep committed relationship, it is probably a good idea that you look into your own aura as well as your potential partner's aura. Now this video gives you just a basic outline. If you need to see more details, you can look them up in the book Love Match, which is mainly what this book is designed for, finding your true love. Or at least if you're in a relationship that you like but want to work out some issues, there's detail in that as well. If you have any questions either on how auras match up or on soulmates, please leave them in the comments section below. And thanks again for watching. Hope to see you in the next video.